Son, Baku, always fun. It always seems to deliver somehow. I mean, for me, the memory is that Mark Webber scream when Lewis bottled the restart, basically handing Max the championship. That was the big one. And then, Grosjean slamming into the wall. He had no reason to do it. He just it's like I think I'll just slam into the wall, But it always delivers. And it's just, and I have to say, as an American, I did not know this city existed. And it looks lovely. And those children, those little kids were just belting out the national anthem, which I love. And there should be a study in 50 years, which cities, which countries are doing the best. And I bet you there's a correlation between little kids just happily belting out that country's national anthem, So those kids are the tell. 50 years, Baku's going to be, world class. Everyone's going to be talking about Baku. All right. You ready to go, son?
I'm ready to go.
Hello, welcome to Hard Compound, the American take on Formula One with your hosts, Brian and Patrick. We just finished race 17, Baku. Last year, I said Oscar Piastri, the young Kiwi, he has that Michael Jordan attitude required to win F1. I'm not sure his teammate Lando Norris does. After this week, I'm not sure either does. Patrick, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings after watching the Azerbaijan Grand Prix?
Well, this weekend seemed like a case of the body snatchers. I don't know what happened, but it seemed like evil aliens infected everybody and basically made them do exactly the opposite of what they normally do. So Oscar and Lando were shit. All of a sudden, Sainz is on the podium. He's been shit all season. Now he's on the podium.
How about that?
We got Yuki and Liam Lawson. Both of them doing pretty damn good. Yeah, Kimi Antonelli getting up there, closing in on a podium.
Yep, it was close.
Not quite, but almost there. Albon inexplicably was just shit and running into people.
Right.
Sort of Oscar's fault, but Alonso has the crappy start and then just kind of flounders around. It was a strange weekend. A lot of weird stuff happened. A lot of good stuff for Max and Red Bull.
Yeah.
And Mercedes.
True.
But then you got the top two teams in the championship were basically among the worst two teams
right.
This weekend. Right. Was just unfathomable.
Yeah, McLaren looked like Ferrari this weekend, and Ferrari looked like Ferrari this weekend. So because of the outcome, I want to jump right into the driver's standings. Oscar still leads at 324 to Norris, his teammate, 299. Now remember, Azerbaijan, race 17. We still have 7 race weeks to go. Oscar, 324, Norris, 299, just 25 behind. Max, 255. With the Grand Slam in Baku, he's 255. That's 45. That's 69. George, 212. And his teammate, Kimi, at 78. Charles at 165. Lewis down at 121. Get a little nasty, I think, between Lewis and Charles with all the frustration. Lewis didn't give a spot back, but I don't think that matters. Now, I saw Jeppe Olesen on Twitter. 7 race weekends left. 3 sprints. So that's 28.4 points per week. Okay? That's how much you can gain. Norris, for him to win, he needs to get 3.6 plus every weekend on Oscar. For Max, 9.9. I don't know. And then George needs 16. I don't know. Can Max do this? We've said in the last few weeks, Max cannot do this because that McLaren is just too good. They have had too much success. The Red Bull is too bad. Not even Max can do this. Can Max do this, Patrick?
It's not possible, right? It's not possible. But we saw how dominant Red Bull was and Max was for the first maybe third of the season last year. And then that script kind of flipped. McLaren was coming up on him. Obviously, McLaren won the constructors title, but Norris, just couldn't quite match Max. Couldn't quite get up there. Max put enough distance between them, and coming down the stretch, raced well enough, to keep that lead. Obviously Red Bull isn't going to come back with a vengeance and claim the constructors title. That's not going to happen. So it's a little bit of a different situation to last year. But Max is just not a human and much better and more capable than Lando or Oscar was last year. And so it's fun to consider it. I don't expect it to happen. I don't expect this type of week to be consistent. I think it would be hard for Max, even winning pretty much every race, that's, about 7-ish points, 7 to 8 points.
Right. So if he wins every race, that's 25. Second place is 18?
Yeah.
So that's 7. If he wins the sprint, but then that's
right.
another point.
So the assumption, right, is that, well, even if Max is so utterly dominant that he wins every race, you would sort of expect the McLaren duo to be up on the podium also. So it's not like he's gaining the 25 points a weekend, right? It's closer to like 8 to 10 if he's winning every race.
And wins every sprint, which, we think he could do, but maybe not, because this year's car, it looks like Red Bull has finally figured it out. And that's 2 races in a row. But I just think, Oscar and then with Lando, they have just such a big lead already. The McLaren has been very reliable for the most part throughout the season. And the pit crew, the paddock, it's all been very good this season. This was the exception. So I just think, I don't know. I think Max is going to make whoever wins earn it. Just have nightmares earning this thing. Like leave the sport like Nico, Hamilton made Nico earn it. Nico was seeing spirits. Nico was being haunted. And I think that's what Max is doing to these guys. He's going to haunt them. They're going to have to leave F1.
It's possible. I'm not sure that even he really thought that it was a possibility this season for him to win another title. And I don't know if he even considers it now. But he's way too close for McLaren comfort.
Right.
And so they're going to have to start doing something. And whether that is locking it down and saying to one of them, all right, you just fend off Max during the race. That's your job. You will come in second, in the driver's standings or whatever. But you are second on the team. The other driver, you go and win. And that way we guarantee a McLaren driver championship to go along with the constructors, right? I think they've just shot themselves in the foot this whole season, and it's 17 races in. Now it's kind of given impetus to Max and Red Bull. Oscar should be at least 100 points clear of Max. There's no reason for it, but because McLaren is so, they love both drivers so much and they want both of them to win. Well, maybe neither will now. So
yeah, they don't want to make the hard decisions, and that's cost them. We don't believe Max will. We believe, though, it is somehow still not shockingly possible. But, we would not be shocked. And, you look at these numbers. You were saying, Oscar should be 100 points ahead. This is his poor performances and McLaren's poor strategy decisions, their refusal to make tough decisions. Look at these team standings. McLaren has 623. Red Bull, 272. Less than half. Max is within striking distance of his 5th championship. Red Bull has less than half the points. This is shocking. I don't want to put everything on one weekend, but whether it's Lando or Oscar, I can't think of anybody less deserving this century. As a champion. It can in this millennium, there's Max, there's Seth, there's Lewis, there's Kimi, Raikkonen, there's Alonso, Michael, Nico, Jensen, and not a lot of people, he has his detractors, but, maybe that's the one. So, I don't know. I'm just not sure they deserve this, so.
Yeah, this was not good. They were pretty embarrassing, and then, obviously, Piastri had his whole thing on, first couple corners, but Norris, didn't qualify well anyways. Didn't really race all too well. Seemed like that car wasn't set up to be quick. Lando didn't really seem to make too much effort. I think after Oscar went out, all he really wanted to do was get to the end of the race. I just want some points.
Right. He did get stuck there.
He was behind guys the whole time. And then, they went long to see if they could clear them. Lando was putting in some pretty good laps. And then they had a shitty pit stop. And then he ends up behind, three guys. It's like, well, nobody did anything right this weekend at McLaren. So...
was a weird one. Now, some positive news. Carlos Sainz. We've been slandering Carlos, everything but the hair all year. Oh, yeah, true. But the man was fired by Ferrari, found a spot at lowly Williams, has struggled all season. Bam. Gets on the podium before his Ferrari replacement, Lewis Hamilton. How about that?
Yeah, that's good. I think Williams was pretty solid this weekend. Sainz was quite good. And it was sort of a weird race in that it almost felt like, even with the two long DRS sections and in that long kind of back straight, a lot of people found it difficult to pass. And that Williams is just quick in those sort of long, flat out sections. And nobody could get by Sainz. We qualified so well. You kind of knew he didn't sort of out-qualify his true performance. I think he held people up a little bit, but not too much. And only really George was able to get by him. So I think we knew he was a good driver. And obviously this is an indictment on Hamilton and really Ferrari this season.
Yeah, mostly Ferrari,
but,
I think, yeah.
Sainz can go in and say, well, look, I'm on the podium. He's not on the podium. What is he? He's 90 points. He's got 90 points less than Lewis does, and less than half the points his teammate does. But, a podium is in many ways more valuable than points sometimes. So,
well, especially for Williams, I think. As long as Max is at Red Bull, as bad as that Red Bull car is, with Max, they're a top 4 team. And so Williams this season has cemented themselves as that number 5, that role that we thought Aston Martin might play this year with Fernando. But that car's just been awful. The team has been poor. Whereas Williams seems to be getting as much out of what they have as they can. So good for them. Good for them. Now, also getting out a lot, at least this week, Liam Lawson. Red Bull finally gets a car, but Liam still does better than Yuki at the Red Bull. I think this may have saved Liam's career in F1 and may have cemented Yuki's end.
Yeah, it's possible. I think Liam has been reasonable throughout this season. He was only given 2 races. Was it just 2 in that Red Bull seat before he got canned? So, it's not like he had a whole lot of time to figure things out. And so, you can kind of ask the what ifs. If he stayed at Red Bull, where would they be now? Where would he be now? I don't know. But I think he's looked pretty good throughout most of the rest of the season. He's only a handful of points back of Hajar, who, another rookie, consider them both rookies, we've consistently said has looked really, really good. So, I think Red Bull has solid drivers in their system. And it kind of feels like this finally proves, whether it's to Red Bull or to Liam, that he kind of belongs in F1. He can do it. He can race up there. Top 5 finishes are not easy to come by. So, yeah, there were kind of a number of guys that did well. Yuki has struggled for a long time and finally kind of found some form this weekend. Obviously couldn't get up there past Liam, but looked much better than he has for the rest of the season. So.
Across the line? I'm sorry, not across the line. I jumped the gun. I did an Oscar. I did an Oscar Piastri. Switching to the soft compound. There we go.
We needed a pit stop before we came in. We would have been disqualified if we.
I was like Oscar there, like, on the clutch, just screw up the start. Oof. Well, okay. Switching to the soft compound. I think Europeans don't understand, may not be able to comprehend drug ads. Here in America, we have drug ads constantly. All the news shows are sponsored by drug ads. A lot of sports are sponsored by drug ads. Anything old people watch, if it's reruns, All in the Family, that's all drug ads. Anyways, Harry Potter, all the Harry Potter movies, when they put them on TV, they're sponsored by drug ads, which I think is a little bit weird. Nonetheless, this weekend I was watching Harry Potter. I've seen it before. Read the books, watched the movies. It occurred to me, which house would Max Verstappen get chosen into? And then it occurred to me, we have to do this for all the drivers. Which Harry Potter house would the F1 drivers be selected into, Patrick? Are you up for this?
Let's do it. I can't say I am well qualified to be a sorting hat, but I can do my best.
Okay. There's 4 houses. There's Slytherin, there's Hufflepuff, there's Gryffindor, and there's Ravenclaw. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember all the particularities, but I know the general gist of them. Like Hufflepuff is like the working class, and Ravenclaw would be like the managerial class. In the U.S., those would be the people who listen to like NPR. Okay. And Hufflepuff would be the dudes having to go into the office every day. All right. Into work. They can't work remote. They can't work remote. Hufflepuff isn't working remote. Grads from Hufflepuff are putting in the time.
I figured grads from Hufflepuff would be like, I don't know. They're supposed to be like goofy, right? And goofy working, like they're baristas. That's
okay.
Hufflepuff.
Is that what Hufflepuff is? Okay. Okay. All right. See,
that's my assumption of what Hufflepuff is.
Right. And then, so Gryffindor were like the heroes. Who else was? Slytherin. Slytherin were like the anti-heroes. So if James Bond was in Gryffindor, the villain would have been in Slytherin. It's that kind of a thing. All right. We'll just run through them. We'll give who we think. So in the current standings of F1, let's go by that. Oscar Piastri. What house does Oscar belong into, Patrick?
I'm pretty sure Oscar is a Gryffindor.
Do you think so? Oscar's a Gryffindor, right? Okay.
I think so. I mean, he just strikes me as a...
See, he's from Wales, right? I just can't imagine somebody from Wales being in Gryffindor. Wales strikes me as the nation of Hufflepuff, all right? I'm just saying.
Oscar?
Right. Or is he Australian? Oh, he's Australian. He's Australian. I'm thinking Liam.
Liam's from New Zealand.
They're all not Wales.
There.
Well, I know. I'm all over them now.
Wales is the tiny little place.
I was thinking Welsh, Wales. It's like talking about hard compound. Across the line.
New South Wales is like a province in Australia.
Yes. No. There's no drugs before the podcast is recorded. Okay, so Oscar Piastri from Australia. You're saying Gryffindor?
I think Gryffindor. He strikes me as kind of like he likes to jump in and be the savior and stop the fights and that kind of thing. He'll get a little testy with the Slytherins, but he works it out. And honestly, I think both of them are. I think both McLaren drivers are Gryffindors.
How about we do this? You do one, I'll do the next. So Lando Norris, no, he's Ravenclaw. Lando Norris is Ravenclaw. Lando Norris is... He's listening to NPR. He's reading the New York Times. He thinks he's smarter than everybody, but he's all touchy-feely. I think he's Ravenclaw.
Interesting. I was going to say I think he's Gryffindor because his team likes to just award him points for no reason. Why are you getting all these random points? What's going on? You didn't do anything. This isn't how this works. We're supposed to win, but you get all the free points. What the fuck is that?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. 5 points for Lando Norris. Yeah. And Oscar's like, what the hell? I'm out here putting my life on the line. That's a good one. That's a good point. All right, Max.
Max is for sure a Slytherin.
Oh, see, I think Max is the hero. I think he's Gryffindor. Interesting. Slytherin, eh?
I think the case can be made. The Gryffindors, they're all high and mighty. We're the best. But really, they just need to be the center of attention. They need that adoration from everybody else. And I think Max is just no, I'm just fucking better than you. And I don't care about anything else. I don't need it. And I think that's what Slytherin is. They don't need everybody to tell them that they're so great.
Okay. See, George Russell, he's mine. I'm going Slytherin. I mean, I've compared him repeatedly to a James Bond villain. So I've got to choose him as Slytherin, right? I mean, there'd be a great redemption story for George Russell to be a hero. And who knows, with Mercedes, all the rumors that Mercedes will be better next year than anybody else. We'll see. All right. So, but I'm going Slytherin also for George Russell. Oh, this one's easy, I think. Leclerc.
Ravenclaw.
Oh my God, you got that wrong. He's totally Gryffindor. So
He's
Ravenclaw?
not a Gryffindor. Why would Charles Leclerc be a Gryffindor? No way. He's a Ravenclaw.
I think he's a Gryffindor with maybe a shock Hufflepuff. I mean, he's always a little whiny, complaining, but he puts in the work and he doesn't make a scene. I don't know. Okay. So wow. All right. The next one I think has got to be easy. Lewis Hamilton. He has to be Gryffindor, right?
Of course.
Okay. Yeah. That's an easy one.
That is an easy one.
All right. Kimi Antonelli.
He's a Hufflepuff.
Yes. Yes.
I think he's just a crazy Italian kid that is just, he's just going to show up and he's going to, do what he's going to do. And that's that.
Happy to be there looking around that grand hall thinking, wow, I can't believe I'm here. Yeah, nice. All right, Alex Albon. Oh, that's a tough one for me. Alex Albon. Is he Gryffindor? Is he not Ravenclaw? No. I'm going Gryffindor for Alex Albon.
I think that works. I think he's got the demeanor for a Gryffindor. I think so. And I feel like, Lewis would be like his prefect or whatever,
Right.
I'll get annoyed by him all the time.
Right. Guiding him around, showing him the ropes. All right. Hadjar.
Ooh, Hadjar. I think I would go with Slytherin for Hadjar.
Oh, I did not expect that.
I think he's capable and a little mischievous sometimes, but he's just kind of there doing pretty much the best out of everybody in his class. So, and he's just there hanging out, and
okay.
Nobody realizes that he's just better than them.
Nice. All right. Well, what about Hulkenberg? That's for me, right? Nico Hulkenberg. He's Ravenclaw. I say Nico Hulkenberg is Ravenclaw.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Lance Stroll.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he's the most Nico Malfoy, or Nico funny. He's the most Malfoy of all of them. Carlos Sainz, I will say Carlos to me is Gryffindor. I mean, he has the hair of a Gryffindor. I mean, that hair should alone gets him into.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, so Liam Lawson where did I say he's from again? He's from New Zealand.
He's a Kiwi. See, I would say that I think Liam is more of a Hufflepuff. I know he gets quite feisty and whatnot, which maybe some people think he should be like a Slytherin or something, but I think he's more Hufflepuff. I think he's there just being a guy, and he loves just being there and racing, and I don't know, seems like he wears his heart on his sleeve a little bit, and it's just, just working for it.
I've got a cold. I'm 3 shots of NyQuil, but I told you, everybody from New Zealand is a Hufflepuff. It's the nation of Hufflepuffs. All right, I got it right. Okay, Fernando Alonso, that's mine. He's Slytherin. He's absolute Slytherin. He's probably the original Slytherin. He is Slytherin.
Yeah, because he just is so good, but inevitably he won't win anything because
Oh, no, hold on. He's like Snape. He's truly Slytherin, but he's going to save Hatchar? No, he'll save Borletto? He's going to save, probably Borletto, because that's his boy, but he's going to save some rookie. Okay? All right? He's going to put his life on the line to save a rookie. So, but yeah, he's totally Slytherin.
he's a Slytherin. Yeah.
Ocon.
Oh, good God. Well, I'm going Slytherin with Ocon. I think he just takes no prisoners. He just doesn't care. He doesn't care about the consequences.
Yeah. And he's kind of like Malfoy's dumb toadies. He gives off that vibe, but totally Slytherin, you know? Okay. All right. His former teammate, Pierre Gasly. That would be for me. And I'm going to go Ravenclaw.
I feel like he's a Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yuki.
Always Hufflepuff, for sure. He might be the most Hufflepuff driver on here. He just is a short little kid that is just everything makes his eyes open wide, and
Yes.
he just is running around and
This is true.
being crazy.
Okay. We're almost done. Borletto. Is that for me?
That's you.
I'll pick Borletto. I don't know him well enough, so we're going to have to put the hat on him and what he decides. And I'm going to put Hufflepuff. Hufflepuff for Borletto.
Hufflepuff for Borletto. Yeah,
Yep.
that can work.
Another rookie, Ollie Behrman. Who do you got?
Ooh, Ollie Behrman. I think I would put Ollie in Gryffindor. I think he strikes me as a hero type.
Nice. What about Colapinto? Okay, I'll do Colapinto, and I'm going to save the last one for you. So Colapinto, Franco Colapinto, where would he go? Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think he's Ravenclaw. Okay, I think he's businesslike, and he looks like he pull off a nice suit. But I'm going Ravenclaw. Now you, Jack Doohan.
Jack Doohan. Ooh. Well, I think I'm probably going to put him in Ravenclaw also. I think he's a stand-up guy that everybody forgot about. So,
see, now I think that's Hufflepuff. For me, stand-up guy, everybody forgets about you. I think, and you're still showing up every day. I think that's Hufflepuff. But hey, okay. Now, in my Imagine Being That Stupid segment, F1, right. FIA says next year we're going to have 6 sprints, but they're discussing 12 sprints for 2027. Now, I've been a defender of the sprints, not because they're such great racing, but it's because I've seen the ticket prices to go to an F1 race on Saturday, and they're outrageous. Who's that singer everyone likes? Taylor Swift. They're like Taylor Swift prices, probably. I haven't looked up those tickets, but it's a lot of money. So people want to give value for the money. F1 can't be traveling. They can't have 40 races. They can't be everywhere in the world. So okay, it's going to be a big show wherever we go. But 12 sprints, that actually could decide a championship. They're considering doing a reverse grid, which I don't like because I'm like, it's too gimmicky. I don't know. Do we think this is a good idea, bad idea? Do we have thoughts on this? It's not set in stone. FA likes to, float a trial balloon, but 12 sprints. That's every other race has a sprint.
Yeah, 12 sprints is a lot. And that strikes me as a lot of extra work and preparation, not only from teams and drivers, but from the track side and, making sure that the facilities are prepared for that extra race. I mean, you need more tires. There's a lot of logistical issues, I think, with that. That's a lot of additional points races. Yeah, it strikes me as a lot for something that I think it seems like a lot of people dislike already. They don't like any sprints, which I find odd.
Even a lot of the drivers don't like them,
And I think
which was more work. But
since the introduction of sprints into the F1 calendar, they have kind of rolled back the importance of them too. So like they're more of a gimmick now, I think, than they were previously. So I think just adding more doesn't really help or solve anything.
yeah, I'm of the opinion. I haven't been a proponent of sprints, but I've not been negative about them because, as I said, we get some additional racing. You're paying a lot of money to show up on a Saturday. You want to see something fun more than just practice, more than just qualifying, let's say. Maybe. I mean, FIA is trying to, get more fans. So I don't know. Maybe just think of outside the box. Like I said, I've had my idea of the seniors tour, having former F1 drivers, maybe any drivers, it's something special at these 12 races rather than sprints. So I don't know. We'll see. Now, something I thought was fascinating. Max Verstappen was asked to name the best driver on the current grid based on various racing aspects. And he couldn't pick himself. Max Verstappen strikes me as someone who's very honest, very calculating, but honest. And I thought his answers were interesting. So he said, who's the best driver on the current grid at this particular factor? You can't choose yourself. Qualifying, he said Charles Leclerc. Racing, he said Alonso. Racing intelligence, he said Alonso. Overtaking, he said Leclerc. Defense, he said Alonso. Mentality, he said Alonso. For every factor, it was either Charles Leclerc or Alonso. And I believe he's telling the truth, and I think you can make the case that he's exactly correct for all of that. But nonetheless, him and Toto like to hang out. Toto is very shrewd and political. Maybe Max has picked up on that. Do you think he's being honest here, Patrick?
It strikes me as mostly honest. I mean, I think a lot of people might, like to dispute some of those. But when you look at those like individual racing aspects and the performances that the two drivers that he mentioned typically put up, it would be hard to argue against those answers. I think there's, aside from Max, maybe for each one of those one or two other drivers that you could point to and go, actually, I think maybe he's better at this. But I think for all of them, what he mentioned, the driver that he mentioned, I think they would be in that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, week in, week out, qualifying Leclerc, race Alonso, racing intelligence Alonso, overtaking Leclerc, defense Alonso, mentality Alonso. The only one I would dispute is I might put Lewis in ahead of Alonso for race, which is the key one in my opinion. But nonetheless, that's the only one. Otherwise, I think he's kind of on the money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's reasonable. I know a lot of people would probably consider the McLaren drivers, for some of those, Russell maybe for some of those, like qualifying or whatever. Russell is quite a good qualifier. But it doesn't strike me as a question that Max would lie about his answers to. So I think it's truthful.
Across the line. Now, that is our segment where we predict the top 5 for the next race. The next race is in 2 weeks under the lights in Singapore in Across the Line. If our driver does show up in the top 5, we get a point. If we get him in the exact right spot, we get 3 points. Patrick, what are the current standings for Across the Line?
Well, we had a bit of a tough week getting all the right guys in the top 5, but we actually didn't do too terrible on points. So coming into this weekend, you were leading 54 points to 52. Final standings, top 5 standings for this race, Baku, was Max, Russell, Sainz, Antonelli, and then Lawson. Bit of an odd top 5. But you had picked Max, Norris, Antonelli, Hamilton, Bortoleto. So that's 3 points for Max, P1, and then 1 point for Antonelli. You had him P3, but he actually came P4. So Then I had Piastri, Russell, Leclerc, Albon, Alonso. I just got 3 points for Russell in P2. So that puts totals after Baku. You are on 58 to my 55. So still close.
Nice. Close, but a little breathing space. So next race in 2 weeks in Singapore under the lights. Last year it was Lando, Max, Oscar. I heard they're considering a sprint, maybe next year, a sprint in Singapore, which might not even be under the lights, which means it'll be like a Rackus inside that cockpit.
Yeah, like I think that would be awesome to watch, but one of the drivers will die if they do that.
Right.
Maybe think about that.
Right. Especially, it will be a Rackus. It will be like, or it'll be Texas in August. It'll be 100 degrees and 100% humidity. Yes. And we'll have 4 drivers pass out and crash.
Like fucking Logan Sargent is from Florida, right? Dude literally had to stop. He stopped racing so that he could just drink some water, vomit probably, and then sit down in some air conditioning for a while. Like, no, it's dumb. That's already just such a difficult physical race. Like, oh yeah, put all those drivers through half of that the day before. Why would we do that?
Right. Okay, who goes first?
You have first pick.
Yay. So last year was Lando, Max, Oscar. I'm riding the Max train. I'm going with Max.
Damn it, I wanted Max. Well, then, I'll go Lando, Oscar, because I think they're going to make sure that they put this Max hype train to bed real quick.
All right. Well, if you go Lando, Oscar, then I'm going to go a Baku repeat after Max. I'm going to choose George and Carlos.
Wow. Then I am going to take Charles, and we'll say he's finally figured it out, turned it around. Antonelli.
Oh, nice. Then I will take Lewis and Alonso.
Ugh.
So I have Max, George, Carlos, Lewis, and Fernando. And you have Lando, Oscar, Charles, Kimi, and
Albon.
Any crazy predictions, Patrick?
Well, because there's been so much talk about, Max is within 69 points, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to say Max does win the Drivers' Championship this season.
Ooh.
Then he pulls Rosberg and retires from F1 forever, and then just races in other series like the GT3 Cup cars and whatnot that he's been, working to get his license in. So,
well, funny. There's somebody on X, I think Sin MB1 Gold, something like that. I forget her name. Is saying the only reason Max even resigned with Red Bull, he knows it's garbage. Horner's gone, the team's bad. Is because they're like, yeah. Oh, you want to do Nürburgring? You want to do GT3? You want to do esports? Whatever you want to do, that's fine with us. Just to keep Max. So they may view things differently. So, but we'll see. My crazy prediction, I thought of this while we were recording. So next race is in Singapore. I believe that was Daniel Ricciardo's last race. He got replaced by Liam, who finished out the season. I'm going to say Singapore will be Yuki's last race.
Well, then what's going to happen? They probably will just race with one car. They'll be like, yeah, you know what? It's the same anyways. We'll just race with one car.
No, the move hedge are up. And then, I told you the Nyquil's getting to me. They've got somebody in F2 that they can trial out in that spot at Racing Bulls. All right. I want to thank you all for listening to everybody's most beloved father and son F1 podcast. It is much appreciated. We are lights out.
See ya. Thanks for listening.
You just finished listening to Hard Compound, recorded in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and around the world.